You're at your old trusty boat. You call mighty sparrow. I'm in the city of Mardi Gras.
Welcome to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we hear stories from everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
Hey everybody, so today I got to sit down with my brother Sven again. Haven't seen him in quite a long time, so I figured why not do a little recording? Check it out. Love chatting with Sven. He's a pretty funny guy. We don't really talk about anything in particular, but he definitely uses some foul language, so let that be a warning for you. And just a reminder, if you want to support the podcast, just go over to patreon.com and look up Sailing into Oblivion, and you can become a patron and help support it and keep it going. So hope you enjoy. And later this week, we'll have another one from the series of the last trip that I was on. So thanks for listening.
Oh, all right, bro, dude. I can't believe you're sitting on my boat right now.
Are we live?
We are 100% live, man.
Cool. Very cool.
I figured we'd just shoot from the hip because, we're brothers.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not. I asked you if do we have a topic or anything?
Well, I did want to talk to you about podcasts as I continue this one on. You were saying, what was the percentage thing you were saying about podcasts that last a certain amount or something?
It was. I mean, I sent it to you in a text, but the number was. The thing that shocked me was how staggering podcasts, how they fail.
Oh yeah,
like they don't make it past like I think it was anywhere past 25 or 20
episodes.
Yeah, was like no one makes it past that.
Well, I could see that because I do remember I initially put 10 or so podcasts together from the trip around the Atlantic, the first one.
Yeah.
And then I did a couple of solo ones after that, and then a couple of interviews. But I do remember getting around episode 20 and sort of being like, what do I do now?
Oh, it's hard. Creating content's
it's not easy.
Yeah. I mean, unless that's what you're all about, right? Mountain climbers climb mountains. Right?
Yeah.
And not to say that you're not a podcaster. You are a podcaster, but on your resume, you're probably going to put down author, adventurer.
Yeah, right. Public speaker.
Well,
aspiring
actually,
to be.
That puts you into podcast zone.
Yeah, I would think so. I think just between some of the stuff that obviously that I do, some of the adventures, but just living on a boat and being surrounded by people who are sort of
unique,
very unique. Yeah, you could say that they're cut from a different cloth. They're doing a different. They're taking on a different sort of way of life. We're transients, we're nomadic, all that stuff. But it lends itself to some pretty crazy stories. I mean, I've run into people who just were on their first month of owning a boat, and they're talking about running into bridges and hitting things and running aground, and those are kind of the stories that are pretty entertaining. So,
Oh, yeah, because unfortunately you know how to sail well enough that you don't have any of those stories.
Wow, that's true. Not any recent ones. Here, hold on 1 second. We got to check something. All right, I think we should be good there. You want to give me a little test there, bro?
Yeah, Yankee Doodle Dandy. Test.
All right, cool. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, with the podcast, yeah, when you get to... There is a certain point, and I reached it and was like, okay, what exactly am I going to do here? Do I want to keep doing this thing? Or because I still don't really receive much feedback. I did receive
That's
some.
hard.
Well,
hard.
Until I got back from this voyage, I got some really nice letters from a few people, and one of them's even signed up on the Patreon, which is awesome. So once you get that sort of feedback, that's cool. And I'm sort of begging people to give me any sort of things that they're curious about and topics that they want to hear. Cause like I said, I mean, I'm just shooting from the hip. I'm just trying to find anybody.
So, some of the best content creation actually comes from listeners, from what I've heard.
Suggestions. Yeah.
Yes. Successful podcasters.
You want to move that mic just a little closer?
A little
there,
closer. How about that?
Beauty.
And so I've always seen that the best podcasters who are able to create continual content, oh my God, the vast majority of it comes from the listeners, and they sort of direct the podcast. I've also seen podcasts that have sort of taken like a hard line. Let's say you take a podcast like Radio Lab, right? Which essentially was exactly the same, beautiful content, created magnificently with a wonderful audio storm.
The production value.
Production value through the roof. But, and they had a great run for like 10 years, if not more. I was listening to them straight from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And lately,
I'm not a huge fan. Well, it seems like it's very few and far between that they have one of those shows about some crazy. I think the last really good one that I listened to was about erythromycin and the discovery of that on Easter Island and stuff.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Those are the stories I want to hear about. I don't really want to hear about the insurrection on January 6th and going over into all that stuff. I don't know. It's not that stuff doesn't interest me at all. It's just that I'm not looking for that.
It's not entertainment.
Radio Lab. I want my mind to be blown by crazy information and just things that, I mean, even when you go on their site, when they talk about, if you've got an idea or a guest or something like that, they're looking for a story with a serious twist that's totally unexpected. It even says it right there.
Some sort of like sciencey, way that it affects a large amount of people that people can relate to. I mean, that's always the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
You're always trying to get someone to relate. I mean, you and I both had to learn liberal arts in school, right? Which they hardly even teach anymore. And it was always about, when you're writing, is how to extract the most emotion out of the reader, right?
Right.
And that captures really good writers, because they just get your goat. You're like, you're like twisting in your seat. You feel emotional. You can identify with characters, stuff like that. And it's that's a heavy weight to lift.
Yeah,
for anybody, right?
Podcast, author,
anybody,
creator.
Yeah, and so the best storytellers I've always found were the ones who actually. It wasn't more about the story. It was more about how you felt. Like, it's like the dog bit my leg. Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, but did it send you into this nightmare?
Are you feeling your leg?
Are you feeling your leg? Or this is some huge, big, idea inside of the. I'm hurt. Yes, but what about the nightmare of my humanity that followed 3 years later? Or, whatever. Yeah, I'm exaggerating here, but you know what I'm.
Oh yeah. Well, there's been plenty of times where I'm reading a book and it goes and goes, and suddenly I realize that like my heart is racing because it's like a crazy scene or something like that. Oh my God. And that's cool. It's rare.
That is rare.
It's pretty cool.
It's very
rare. It does
rare.
happen.
It is very, very rare. Which is unfortunate, because this kind of that kind of content, that kind of liberal arts stuff should be like on tap, right? You would hope so. I think comedians get away with it. I think proper storytellers. Malcolm Gladwell. Oh, just read a Malcolm Gladwell book.
Yeah.
Right. He nails it. He nails it every time.
I don't think I've ever read any of his stuff.
You haven't read any of Malcolm Gladwell?
I mean, if you look around in the library, you're just going to see a lot of trashy kind of novels. I do have a few. I've got One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I got through most of that.
Okay. Well,
I'll tell you, dude, on the trip, my go-to, the most entertaining books I read, I had 2 of the Jack Reacher series. I've never gotten so involved in a book, so just right off the bat it's like whoa. And I read them in essentially one day each. They're about like 600 pages, but they were really short chapters. But I don't know, reading those books,
what was it about those books?
I don't know, it's just the writing style. But basically what would happen
Who's
is
the author?
I'm not sure, Lee Child, I think, something like that.
I know they're famous. They're famous books.
Dude, they're insane. And the thing with me with those books that I found more than I think any other book, even sailing books, is that I forget I'm reading and I'm just seeing the pictures in my head. I'm watching the movie because I always place Tom Cruise in that.
Are you a visual reader?
It depends on the book. If it's a pretty rough topic and it's hard to get through and there's a lot of... All right. I think we should be good. Hopefully these technical difficulties don't continue.
Test.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm reading you now, but
All right.
it keeps, for whatever reason, it just keeps fading out. But
It must be the salt water.
yeah, who knows? Yeah, it could be. I mean, I had all this stuff with me because I recorded maybe, I don't know, 3-4 hours worth of recording. I have one that I haven't listened to yet. And
No.
I saved it under the title of Offshore Gold. So I can only imagine what exactly I must have been in like a real good mood or something that night. Who knows?
How many hours?
That was like an hour or something just for that one. But yeah, I usually like to string them all sort of together. I've only put out one, which was the first sort of stuff leading up to and going through the cyclone or the tropical storm.
Yeah, that was your last one.
That
right?
was the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one, it was I'll listen to these normally, like this podcast that you and I do. I'll have to edit a few things with the technical stuff out, but I won't listen to it. I'll just check it, make sure the sound quality is good, and then I just put it out there because I'm not worried about breaths and little pauses here and there. It just doesn't matter to me.
No, and plus you got to move on to the next one. The one that you and I have done.
Yeah,
I listen to that one all the time.
I bet you do.
I do. No, I mean, yeah, it's okay. It might sound a little egotistical, but when I start listening, about 4 minutes to the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just listened to the end, the last 5 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why you do that.
I don't know. Because I think that we had talked long enough through that podcast, because that was my first podcast with you.
Yeah.
Right. That by the time we got done with it, there's this relaxation, right? There's this.
Yeah. And it's interesting to watch people. I see them hit that point every time
where they just go, "Oh, I'm just talking."
They're like,
to you.
"Yeah, we're just having a chat." Okay, I got it. I don't actually have to be ready for these questions. I've seen grown men physically like sort of shaking, and I'm sort of like, God, and I'll turn it off. I'll be like, "Hey, listen, let's just chat here for a couple minutes," and then I'll sneakily just hit the record button.
That's awesome.
I understand it because I remember the first podcast that I did, I was real nervous about, but that one was for, I was chatting with the guy who had a small speaking company. So it was kind of almost like an interview in a way of like, do I have enough to say here that this guy wants to take me on as a public speaker for his thing, all that stuff. So I don't know. Nothing ever came out of it, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just gotta. You're right though. It a lot of people. Where's that first 30 minutes? Is that even productive?
Exactly. I know. And I guess that's where the editing process probably can can make a podcast more interesting. But I don't know. I don't know. I figure the best thing to do is just go for it.
Sometimes you want the nervousness. Sometimes you want the.
You never know what the person's going to say when they're all nerved up.
Yeah, they're going through some, some self-reflection or something, like subconscious self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I'm on the spot now. I'm not talking to Jerome. I'm talking to Jerome with a microphone.
Yeah,
in front of me.
yeah.
And then they're doing the calculus in their head of, oh my God, who the fuck is going to be?
How
listening to
many
this?
people are
How many
listening?
people are listening? And that's the hard part, right? Or at least for most people, right? The hard part. Like, do I give a flying fuck who hears the words out of my mouth? No. And is that why I happen to have a lot of friends who are interested in the shit I have to say? I guess so. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, don't hold back.
Life's too short to hold back.
Absolutely.
You got to be yourself. You got to
absolutely
do your thing and just get on with it.
Yeah, exactly. Those the beaches were built by lapping waves, right? So you just got to just take it.
That's beautiful, man. The beaches were built by lapping waves.
So
I'm going to lap this next bush light down.
There you go.
Just like a
There you
wave
go.
into my mouth.
There you go.
Oh, that's good.
Have we already put our setting here? We're here in the Mighty Sparrow.
Oh, why don't you take us through it, Sven?
Well, we're here in the Mighty Sparrow, and do I pronounce this right? Buford,
yeah. Buford, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Beaufort, North Carolina, I believe.
Oh,
You know.
oh my God.
Yeah, they're spelled the same, but they're two very different places.
You don't want two dudes from each of those bars meeting out in a parking lot.
Oh, it could get messy.
Buford, Beaufort.
Nah, it's a beautiful little town. You probably didn't get to see too much of it, but you must have driven right through downtown, basically.
Yeah. I drove over some of the elevated roads.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of water here.
Tons, man. And just islands. I mean, you're on an island right here, and then there's St. Helen Island, Morgan Island. Morgan Island is where they released a bunch of the monkeys.
Oh, I heard about that. What about the monkeys?
So there's a couple hundred of these monkeys on an island, like just a couple miles that way. Supposedly now,
How big?
Just like
Rip your face off?
no,
monkey?
like lab monkeys. So I don't know, 40 pounds, something like that.
I bet it'd still rip your face
totally
off.
guessing. Yeah, but you can go there. But supposedly there are still. It was supposed to be these were released monkeys from labs, and that's how they ended up on this island.
How long ago?
I don't know. You'd have to. I don't know enough about it to really even talk about it. But the one thing I do want to say is, I guess there's some controversy right now about whether or not companies are still going to that island and grabbing monkeys for more
monkeys.
testing.
There's like
and stuff
Pfizer's
like that.
out there with a float boat grabbing
Going
monkeys.
something all the way up
Got
to
a little
like-
whaler with some crab traps on it, throwing monkeys.
Well, that's the thing. That island's not that far away from the other islands. You would think these monkeys would escape.
Yeah, because they can swim. It's a
Or
mammal.
I don't even
All
know what they
mammals
do in the
swim.
wintertime. I mean, it doesn't get that cold, but tomorrow night it's supposed to get down to the 30s. These monkeys must just have to huddle together, or maybe they have a little monkey house.
I mean, do monkeys like pull leaves on top of each other to like make a leaf blanket? I mean, if it gets cold
If
out
it gets
there,
cold, yeah. I mean, they've got hair
you know?
all over them.
I mean, in Florida, we got iguanas falling out of trees every time it dips below 40.
yeah, here we got
Yeah.
monkeys
Falling out of
building
trees.
fires on the island. Yeah,
Maybe that's where they
Wouldn't
learned to
that be?
build.
Wouldn't that be insane? Those monkeys literally learned how to make fire.
Well, I've seen stuff. Where there was like new technology, like with like a stick, like where a chimpanzee or something.
Oh, don't they
was-
copycat?
They copycat, right?
They can watch and they sort of
Yeah.
see. And
Oh
they
man,
do
that
it
stick's got a
themselves.
bunch of termites on it. That looks like a tasty meal.
Yeah.
How do I do that? And they're like, you can see that little twitch in the eye, that little cock of the head going.
Right.
Oh.
Well, dude, and that one, I think it was the podcast you had mentioned I needed to listen to with Lex Friedman, where they were talking about the monkeys and violence and all that is inherent in just humans, and they went through and they were talking about the chimps,
Yeah,
I believe, and how how violent they were. And,
oh no, I think that was yes, it was chimps. It was chimps, bonobos, and
orangutans?
No, not orangutans. But what are the ones that like
Or
like they have the big
orangutans.
canines?
Oh,
They're almost like dog-like.
hmm.
Jesus, oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Not chimps.
No, it's not. There's chimps and bonobos.
Right.
Those are almost identical, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the two, but they're totally different animals.
Yeah.
They have a total different social hierarchy. They're more maternal than patriarchal. They're less violent. They have just a totally different way of living. And then there's the what is it? You know it.
You need a computer screen in front of you.
I
You
do.
can just-
Where's my Jamie?
well, there's your phone.
Yeah.
You can just
But
diddle that thing
Yeah.
right up.
But anyways, I mean, I guess the gist of it was with the chimpanzees. Yes, there was some inherent violence.
Yeah.
A lot of it was just a lot of chest thumping, but they did also a lot of quiet violence, which was very interesting.
Where you would get a group of them. They'd go to the border.
Yes, and
And
they
if
grab one.
And they'd grab one as long as
Yeah,
nobody else
those
was
was around,
around.
yeah.
But if they found there were other people, they'd back
Yeah.
right down.
If you found that there were four,
Yeah.
and they all start screaming at each other, then it just became a screaming match.
Right.
But it was always one, and I thought, and that doesn't happen with bonobos, but it happens with the chimpanzees. I thought that was just absolutely fucking frightening.
Yeah, right.
Because that is a calculated maneuver.
Yeah.
This
that-
isn't like you
you're
just
thinking.
Yeah, it's not like you just stumbled upon my herd, my tribe. All right, and okay, so I'm concerned. I don't think the males are concerned about the women or the children at all. I think they're just concerned about themselves, and I think it's just like, oh, this is my territory. This is my loot.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Keep your hands off my loot. Right. Where that's just like, oh God, okay, now it's a skirmish, right? But when you sneakily go and grab, that is calculated.
Yeah.
that is fucking that is fucking weird. That is scary.
It is. Well, but dude, I think there are. I would say that some of those primates, I think whales, dolphins, killer whales,
I bet they do the same.
octopus. I think at least those creatures I have seen personally. Curiosity, obviously playfulness, and community sort of action. I mean, I had a super pod of dolphins visit the boat on this last trip.
Yeah.
So it was like 250, 300 dolphins.
Jesus.
Yeah, came out of nowhere.
Really?
And they came and hung out around the boat, just all flipping around, diddling, doing whatever.
Like just like an acre of.
Oh, they upset the ocean around me. Churned it up. It was flat. I was sailing, but only doing like 2 knots. And
They were just playing.
and they're just playing and all this stuff. And it went on. They were there for like a half an hour. I'm just in awe. After I videoed it, then I just got to sit there and watch. And then all of a sudden, every single one of them took off to the north at full like gallop out of the water. It was the most insane sound I've ever heard in my life. Just a whoosh, whoosh,
of their bodies
just
popping through
300 dolphins all jumping at the same time and going as fast as possible to another place.
Why do you think they?
I'm sure one of them probably detected.
I found a tuna. Let's get
Well,
'em.
they can detect the sound of a bait ball getting eaten, from
yeah.
I don't know how long away, but
Probably tens of miles.
yeah, well, and the whole time, anytime I went down below on the boat, I mean, it was a squeak fest down here. They're all just chatting and they're it's super high pitched, and
Yeah.
I don't know. You see that sort of communal living and that sort of agreement of, all right, guys, I think I heard food. Let's go. Obviously, these things are thinking. They're not just
Oh yeah, they're not just like
chewing up the grass in the pasture.
No.
They're different.
If you
They're on a
probably
different
sat down
level.
face to face with a manatee versus a dolphin, you'd be like, we know which one's going to Harvard. This one is not. You're going to a state school. If we're lucky. If mom and dad are lucky, this one's going to a state school.
Well, and also, I mean, there's the story of the whale ship Essex, that essentially those guys are out. They hooked into a huge pot of sperm whales, and they're out there harpooning them in their little boats. And then the one big old 80-footer, the alpha male, ended up plunging in and wrecking the other boat. And from the story, it sounds like basically this thing knew what it was doing. It was like, all right, I'm gonna just go break that one in half.
I believe that was sperm whales. I've seen some of their behavior from you watch the Attenborough stuff.
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah.
Okay, and there was this really.
They put a camera on one when it did.
Yeah,
its
they
dive.
did, but the cameras
They explode.
Well, either they
go down
explode
like
or it goes black because there's no light down there, right?
Mhm.
But it was very interesting to see that since they have to dive so deep, to get this big squid or whatever the food source is.
Yeah.
It's like it was like 800 meters or some insanity.
Oh, it's huge.
It's
Yeah.
it's just like a jaw dropping amount of
down there for like 20 minutes.
yeah, and it was funny because the babies aren't equipped
They
to
have
go
to sort of
down,
hang.
and so that they can hear the clicks and they can hear the conversation that's happening below them,
Yeah.
right? And maybe that's like this like complex communication system because you always got to depend as a species on the next generation. Or else it's game over, right? And so there must be this weird thing on that. It's not only them finding their food, communicating as a community, but also maintaining the well-being of the next generation. Which I think it's too complicated to not be thought out by either an evolutionary brain or something that's really sentient and understands. It's got to be. It has to be. There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
Well,
it is.
It's got to be. It's got to be. It's worked its way out. Mosquito. All right.
I think it's just a different level that we just don't understand it. I mean, if we had
we
a
don't
way
speak the
to
language.
decode their communication, their speech of any sort of different species, we'd probably be shocked to find out exactly what they're talking about and what they're able to communicate about. It's just we don't understand it. We just don't.
I wonder if we'd be shocked because of the sincerity of it, or we'd be shocked because of the utilitarianism of it. I mean, are they just like, yeah, big hamburger on the left,
north, food north, now
food north,
go.
now go, baby, stay there, or is it more nuanced? Like, I think I got something over here.
Anybody else hear that?
Anyone else hear that?
George, Tom, Bill.
Bill, you guys hear? Oh, we did. Okay, everyone go quiet real quick. Let's go get that big ball of, whatever.
Well,
squid.
here's the question: if any of those other species were given dominance of the planet, do you think they would just overrun it and sort of
You mean
abuse it the way
the
we
way
have?
we have?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
You don't think so?
I don't think. No.
Because I know that nature works under that all-consuming rule of checks and balances where
So you're saying if a bunch of sperm whales were able to put on a suit, tie, and jacket and go work at Goldman Sachs, would they do the exact same thing we would do?
Well, no, I'm saying if you took sperm whales and it was essentially just a water world,
yeah.
and sperm whales were the absolute apex predator, and nothing was getting them, so their population just exploded. Would they just eat up all of everything else, and all the other things would sort of die off, or would they not? Would they somehow know in their heads, like, okay, even though we don't have anybody killing us, we're not gonna explode our population to the point where, I don't know, who knows?
Well, so like if a bunch of sperm whales had like an ace up their sleeve, Right. So
Yeah.
humans.
It's kind of hard. Well, let's choose a land animal because at least the land animal
All right. Well,
makes
I mean,
a little more sense.
we're a land animal, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so we had an ace up our sleeve before, and that was just the ability to sweat and the ability to run.
Yeah.
And outrun prey. Right.
Right.
I mean, people are like
Slow and steady.
Yeah,
We're
slow
gonna
and-
run
slow
that
and
elk
steady.
down.
We're gonna run that elk down until it's like literally collapsing.
Yeah.
And that's an easy kill, right?
Right.
And then we furthered up that ace up our sleeve with another ace up our sleeve, which is just tools, right? And
Yeah, it's sort of that jump, man. That
it's
jump.
that jump,
is-
and that jump coincides also with the ability to control fire and also cook meat.
yeah.
Right? And so that's that's a massive one.
Cook meat, so it's less digestion, less energy that we have to put into that, and more
And-
energy we can feed our brain with.
Absolutely broken down the broken down proteins
Yeah.
through the heating process allows our stomachs, of course, to nourish more of it, right?
Yeah.
And so now we got like 3 aces up our sleeve.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you were to have like I think killer whales got an ace up their sleeve.
They are, I believe, they are like the apex predator in the ocean.
I don't think
because
anything fucks with them.
I don't think anything could.
Possibly fuck with them.
No, I don't.
No,
think
I think
so.
they're too smart. They're too fast. They're vicious enough, and they're fucking they're like chimpanzees. They'll rip your fucking face off.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
yeah.
it-
Well, they attack. They. There's been a lot of reports lately of boats getting their rudders chewed on and stuff like that. I saw a few videos.
Oh, I believe it.
Before I left. Yeah.
They're territorial.
Mm-hmm.
I heard some crazy story, a bunch of years ago about this diver. I think it was like a radio lab, and it was this diver in the Arctic, and he was diving with leopard seals, and leopard seals are fucking massive. You remember?
And
you remember
the
that
leopard
story?
seal wasn't the leopard seal trying to give him
It
food.
was trying to give him a penguin that it
Yeah.
just killed. But these things have like a mouth like a half-meter wide.
Oh, they're huge.
They're massive.
Vicious.
Vicious.
They're like
They-
the wolves of the sea.
Yeah, their name does not.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a leopard seal.
You're like, no, it's not just because it's got spots. It was fucking kill you.
Yeah.
and it was like trying to give him a penguin, that it had just bit the head off of. It's like here. Eat.
Yeah, and it kept trying to give it to him. Over and over
but
again.
then I think the leopard seal, as he was interacting with it, he was shitting himself, right?
Oh,
because
God,
the thing's like 3 times the size he is, or 4 times the size he is. So the guy's just like shitting himself the entire time, and the thing's sort of playing with him, and then all of a sudden, I think the leopard seal starts to lose interest, and that's when he becomes like really scared.
Yeah.
I believe I have the story right. I mean, you can listen to Radio Lab. I'm not exaggerating from what my memory of it is.
Yeah.
But
Well, it was an episode about talking to or
communicating
with animals, yeah.
But I think that's when you start shitting yourself, when the thing starts losing interest with you.
yeah,
Then
right.
you'd be like, oh, all right.
I
will
might just
rip you-
become a food source because I'm just a weak human being.
Yeah,
In the natural setting, we are pretty
especially in the
useless.
ocean. We are at a massive disadvantage in the ocean.
Oh,
physically,
100%. Yeah.
I mean,
I can't survive out there without this beautiful boat that we're sitting on.
I mean, we make an amazing might of slaughtering the ocean, but the moment you go overboard, you're double fucked.
You're done.
You're,
Yep.
you're triple fucked.
Yeah, that's 100%. The ocean will eat you, given
Yeah.
enough time. People always ask, why I don't wear a life jacket. I'm like, because I don't want to get eaten by sharks. I'd rather drown.
Yeah,
Because
seriously,
it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
You sit in that water long enough.
And you I read that bear attack book.
Bear Attacks, Their Causes and Avoidance by Stephen Herrero. Or no, yeah, I believe it's Stephen Herrero. It's the
Jesus.
end-all, be-all of terrifying bear attacks. But that guy is literally, he's the
The expert.
expert by far. Most of those attacks took place back in the 70s, the 60s and 70s when they were still doing garbage dumps in Yellowstone and other places. But yeah, terrifying, huh? Those bears, man. I've seen a lot of bears, on the Appalachian Trail. Luckily, they all tucked tail and ran, as soon as they saw, and these are all just black bears. But I've also seen videos of black bears trying to, get right in there. I don't know if I could stand up to one of those. I don't know if I would have the wherewithal to be like, okay, I've got to yell and scream at this
and get as big as
stand
possible.
my ground. Yeah. Well, I used to think that a good avoidance thing would be to have firecrackers, like one of those packets of like black cats where you could light it up real and throw it. But I don't know. I think you wouldn't even have time to do that. If one of those things was mad at you and started charging, there wouldn't be much you could do, man.
I mean, outside of just having a gun on you.
Yeah, but even then,
I know it's
is
got to
it
be
ready?
Is it big enough?
Is it in your whole? Yeah, and are you going to be able to?
If you shoot it in the shoulder, it's not going to stop.
Heck no, you're going to make it mad. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Those things, when they get in the rage stage, they're just.
Oh, they're just blind rage.
Yeah. It's just a big ball.
Did you watch the Tiger King?
No, I did not.
Okay. You don't need to waste your time.
Don't worry, I don't have Netflix.
Okay, good. But there is a scene. All right, so this Tiger King guy, Joe Exotic, right? He's just this whacked out guy, and he's just got a bunch of really big cats, like a lot, like not just a couple.
Does this take place in your home state?
Some of it does. Of course, Florida's always involved.
In Florida?
Florida's always involved in something that's super fucked up. And but he's in like Oklahoma or some shit like that. So he's got this wild cat, big cat sanctuary or whatever. And it's more of a zoo. It looks like absolute torture for the animals. But anyways, there's this scene in the show where a cat, like a full big ass fucking tiger, grabs his leg. And he's got boots on, like thick leather boots. And he's got jeans, right? He's probably got some sort of, I don't know, he's got to have something on there underneath. But the tiger starts and the camera, these guys from like Netflix are like filming this shit. And it starts pulling on him. And then the tiger goes in with its mouth and gets around his boot. And he's got a gun on him. And this thing's pulling him. And I'll tell you what, though, as crazy as this motherfucker is, and this guy's a fucking lunatic, right? I mean, anyone who keeps like 100 fucking tigers is a fucking lunatic.
Well, yeah, different strokes.
No, I disagree. I disagree. The guy's a fucking lunatic. And so, but anyways, he takes out his gun and fires a shot. Now, he's operating like there's no Netflix around.
Yeah.
You can see it. You can see it in his body language. Like, this has been done to him before.
Right.
And he's like, get off, get off, get off. And the tiger's like, no, I'm not getting off of you.
Tasty treat.
Yeah. And so he fires one at the ground off in the distance. And the tiger's like, yeah, I heard that before. And it still pulls on him. And I'm like, oh, snap. That guy is so calm and so composed that when he finally fires off that second shot really close to the tiger's ear.
Yeah.
So it's like, ow, that's, it's really fucking loud. It's a gun.
Yeah.
Right? The thing backs off. But he gets up and he dusts himself off. And I'm like, and they don't go into it in the show, but I'm like, how many times has that happened to that motherfucker? I've aged. But
yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm like, but as crazy and as fucked up and as weird as that guy is, the amount of composure and sort of like fluidity they had from getting attacked by an animal that will absolutely kill you without thinking twice. You might as well be a lamb to that thing.
Right.
I was actually pretty impressed. I was like, I'll show you the scene. Oh, it's bonkers.
Well, you get used to all sorts of what one person can see as just the most crazy environment ever. Somebody else who's been dealing with it forever, you get so used to that. Where
it's like
yep.
It's like the guys who. Remember I showed you the video of the guys who put out the Kuwaiti oil fires?
Oh my gosh, that was unbelievable. That is just hell on earth.
Like
you're already in the desert, and now you have like 500-foot flame next to you,
Yep.
belching out smoke, and you gotta go put it out.
to the point where like no one can put it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like have to
Oh, my
you got to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
That there's two of them. There's the one I showed you, which is Werner Herzog's movie Lessons in Darkness, which is just a great narrative. You know, it's his narrative of the Kuwaiti oil fires.
Yeah.
And just about the damage that humans do on the planet and can do at the flick of a switch, because it did not take long for Saddam to exit Kuwait and set all those puppies ablaze, right?
Yeah.
It only took a matter of days. And then there's another one that's an IMAX one. It's a little bit more cinematographic. It's got, it's shot with an IMAX camera, which is pretty impressive. I enjoy the Werner Herzog one, Lessons in Darkness. Lessons in Darkness. That's the one I showed you. But can you imagine that's your fucking Monday morning, bro?
Not even for a split second. And I deal with some pretty weird Monday mornings in my life, and I couldn't imagine being over there and seeing that.
I mean, you've been tackled by water, right?
Yeah.
You've had your wits end with water. I can't imagine having my wits end with fire. Because this is like, for those who don't know, for those who listen to the podcast, it's not a house fire.
No, it's a flamethrower coming out of the ground times 1,000.
Yeah, it's hell belching.
Oh my God! And there's multiple of them around.
Oh yeah, there's hundreds of
those scenes of those fires. Oh man, that was gruesome.
And that's your Monday morning.
And that's your Monday, yeah.
I
And
mean,
you're over there for a while.
can you imagine those guys' wives? I mean, I understand these guys are professionals, and they're blue collar dudes. They've been probably working on rigs their entire lives. They understand how oil works. They understand how fire works. It's a dirty, 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 dirty job. But they're adventurous folks. They're able to get out there and they're able to do it. And I guarantee you, they are earning a shit ton of money. They have to be.
Well, they should, yeah. I mean,
Because
you're risking your life.
Oh, it's the most insanely dangerous job ever, and it's not like and it's not. I bet those guys work with a certainty of precaution that it's honestly probably not that dangerous in their day-to-day operations and the way they move through their job.
But there's gonna be sections,
yes,
that are like whoa,
and then there's also the constant and nonstop brutality. Because I mean, you saw it. I mean,
that'd be the hardest part for me, honestly. Is just to see
the never-ending
devastation.
slog.
Yeah, of just like.
And once you put out the fire, now you got to go to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the whole time, I mean, it's not like you're just seeing this fire. You're seeing this fire with a 15,000-foot smoke trail coming off it of black, toxic smoke.
Oh, you're definitely downwind of everything.
Oh, dude.
Man.
So
and
bad, man.
You're in the Kuwaiti desert. It's already 100
I
degrees.
know,
and so
right?
standing next to that thing, it must be like 200 degrees. It's like getting into an oven.
And here's the thing. They get used to it.
They do.
They
do.
get used to it.
They get used
Just
to
like,
it.
yep, all right, I'm in it. I guess you could say that for anybody. I mean, even somebody who lives in Tent City, Seattle, and is shooting up heroin all the time, they get used to it.
Oh God, that'd be horrible to get used to that.
It would, but it's something that I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being in that situation, and not desperately seeking a way out of it. But again, I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right. People get used to it.
But you get used to it, and you get used to the fact that your belongings are in a tent on the sidewalk, and you're getting harassed and harangued and all that sort of. I couldn't even imagine. Holy cow!
Yeah, that's it.
People are pretty crazy. Like we adapt to so many different environments. Yet
We almost adapt too well.
we do well, dude. I know that people have often been compared to viruses as far as our interaction with this planet, of how we're just exploding in number. We constantly devour resources and all that sort of stuff. But that's part of it, is being able to adapt and we're our own variants. Like, you go from
We are.
city dwellers. Now we've got the tent variant of human population in the United States. Oh man.
We're able to extract the maximum out of our environment.
Do you think we'll ever be able to get to a point where we put aside the constant, greed and materialism and start to focus more in on and value sort of community and our fellow human beings?
No.
You don't think it's possible?
I don't think it's possible. I don't as long as somebody else has got more than the other. I think it's too embedded into the primate brain. You've got two fruit. I got one. Now I don't. I've got a beef with you.
Yeah.
And I think,
why you get two?
Why you get two?
Huh?
Yeah, why you get two? And it's like, well, because I climbed up that tree a little higher.
Yeah.
Or I went out on that limb a little farther.
Right.
And whether it was hard work that got the two, or maybe two
you just got lucky.
Maybe the two just fell out of the
tree.
sky. Yeah, and you just happened to be there in the right place.
Yep.
I think no matter what, the result of having two versus somebody who has one, they'll never be able to shake it. I that's not for everybody, right? But I'm thinking that there's something nagging in the primate brain, or what do they call it, the reptilian
brain.
Yeah, the reptilian.
It's like the super
brain.
basic one. That's the one, like fight or flight, all that. I believe.
Yeah, it's like if you're being chased by a tiger, you take a poop in your pants in order to make you faster, right? Just to unload all your remaining weight, right? And I think
smoke screen, brown screen, brown screen.
Yeah. And I think that some of that stuff is so hardwired into humans. I mean, you can probably overcome it, but you got to talk yourself off the ledge.
Yeah.
And I think I think a lot of people, I think the majority of human beings, that conversation to talk yourself off the ledge, I think that's rare.
I think it is too. I think having one of the nicest things that I've had to experience in my life is a lot of different small communities that I've been able to live, near and sort of be ingratiated into. Mostly down in the Caribbean and such, but watching...
It's an amazing example.
Well,
I've never seen someone like you assimilate so well into a community the way you did.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't me. It was just I don't know. Everything worked out great.
You also had a massive hurdle when you were doing that, and one of the massive hurdles is the color of your skin.
Well, yeah, I mean, down there, I absolutely in the minority, and I had to deal with some racism and stuff, like real. It
was great. We got a podcast of two white guys talking about racism.
Yeah, not. I never had any violence done towards me, but. Little things where I was definitely meant to feel like a second-class citizen, and they succeeded in that. But no, I guess my point in talking about that is that watching how the community interacted down there, because you have these people, and not all of them, but I would say the vast majority, don't concern themselves with things like houses and cars and all that sort of stuff, of how big and how much. And just seeing how happy people were because of that, All right, Sven, go ahead, man.
All right, so now, so what I was going to walk back was my previous observation about how everyone's sort of out for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And you had mentioned how the smaller the community that you had witnessed, much more communal.
Yeah, everybody sort of, it just seemed like the most important thing down there was your relationships and your friendships and your families, and bringing all them together, making sure everybody's taken care of, and it was less focused on how big is my house and what kind of car I'm driving.
Yeah. So what I wanted to walk back was, my statement of I've got two fruit, you've got one, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, there's in the smaller numbers, there's actually this phenomenon called Dunbar's number, and Dunbar's number reflects the amount of personal relationships the average single human can have, right? And that number is roughly around 150. And so,
I think I've heard of this.
yeah, and Dunbar, I believe he was some sociologist or something. I'm probably murdering the shit out of this, but so they see that in the way they deploy military. When companies get so big, after 150, they start breaking the company off into different sections to keep the teams relative to each other.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now, that number, I agree with that. So if you live on a small island community, I caught tons of fish, you caught no fish. I'm going to give some fish to you because tomorrow I might not catch any.
Yeah.
Right? I believe that to be true. But I think the moment you pierce that number, then all of a sudden you just lose any relativity of interpersonal relationships. Are gone. They're just washed away.
Yeah.
It's a tidal wave of people.
Right. There's so many that you don't know everybody. You don't have personal relationships with everybody. And then you you get into that. I don't even know if you get into the jealousy thing. I think the jealousy comes after, you get one Jackmo who just feels the need to
I don't think it's
accumulate
jealousy.
so much. And all of a sudden, then it's sort of like, well, I have one, and you have 500,000 fruit, like, and you're not even using all those.
Yeah,
like, what?
Yeah, no, that gets a little bit bonkers. And
Yeah.
I think the only reason why that's able to be tamped down by like the Bezos and the Musks is because and the Bill Gateses is the fact that most human brains can't. Calculate
the idea of
number.
$1 billion or 10 billion or 100 billion
dollars.
is just like,
Are we looking at stars in the sky? Or
no. If you had a real concept of that, people would probably be a little.
There's a
more
great
upset.
video online that shows like it's like a grain of rice was like 10 grand, and so like this guy poured out amount of rice that was like the normal person, and then amount of rice that's the rich person. And then the amount of rice is like Bezos, and the scale of it
is just
shocking.
staggering. Yeah,
staggering.
yeah.
It's absolutely shocking. So I believe in like community settings like that. I think it just sort of gets lost, right? So you're actually not. I'm walking a shit ton back here.
That's fine, man.
I don't think you're actually like he's got 2 fruit, I've got 1. Fuck that guy. No, I think it's more of a like I just need to get by, right? And I see other people with more, right? Which and I think I don't think people struggle with that. What I do is I think that they sit in their thoughts, and they're like, that guy's always got 2 fruit.
Why do I
I
always
always
have to
get
eat
more than
this
one
one
fruit?
stupid orange?
Yeah,
That guy's got
yeah.
an orange and an apple.
Yeah, exactly. And there's
Apples look good.
Yeah. But if you were in a community of 150 less, you wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because you're like, that apple's everybody's apple.
Right. No, it's true.
Singer, this philosopher, he's this Australian guy. He put this really, sort of thought project out there, and it was if I told you tomorrow that there was 1 million Chinese kids somewhere other than you live going to lose their life in like a landslide, okay, you wouldn't lose sleep, right? If I told you tomorrow that we were going to cut the tip of your pinky finger off,
I wouldn't be sleeping.
you wouldn't be sleeping.
No,
Now,
that's true.
if I were to come to you and say, in order to save that 1 million kids' life in China that you don't know them, but we're going to have to cut the tip of your pinky finger.
Cut away, man.
Cut. Good for you. you're still guaranteed a sleepless night.
True.
Yeah. But if it doesn't affect you,
Maybe not though. Maybe you'd be like, wow, tomorrow I'm gonna save 1 million people.
Jerome, then you would be sainthood material. I mean,
well, and that's what I say, but you never know when it comes down to it.
I guarantee you're going to bed going, oh man,
That's
really?
gonna
I'm like,
hurt.
what time? Is this like 8 or 9? Are we doing this at 9 o'clock? Because you're
It's
right
an
though.
interesting thought experiment.
You're right though, Jerome. You would do it.
Yeah, I think
You
anybody
would do it. But Jesus Christ, dude, at 8:55,
Yeah.
right before they're teeing up the scalpel,
Yeah, you'd be thinking.
you'd be like, you know.
Well, but you know
Yeah,
that's
you
one
would
of those
do
things.
it. You would do it. If a
You-
million kids, you'd do it.
It's true. It's true. Oh yeah, heck yeah.
I bet you though, I can fill a room within 30 minutes of people who wouldn't.
Who wouldn't do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, but that
And I don't blame them. I don't blame them either.
it's hard because in this world there are places that are nice and comfortable and have plenty of everything, and there's places that are just hell on earth. I mean, you know, Liberia, Somalia, Sudan, you name it.
Pretty rough places.
Most of Africa is in pretty rough shape, and everybody knows it, and we don't really do a whole lot about it.
No, we don't help them at all.
No, well, I mean, there are charities and there are things where people donate money to and stuff, and so that's a little bit of help for sure. But you know, it's not like everybody's standing up and saying, you know, stop this. This has to stop right now.
Your average American is really just so focused on making a mortgage payment or making a car payment. You know, that I don't think those people have a lot of time beyond their job.
No, when you're sitting on a pile of debt or something like that, and you've got some serious issues, and you're living check to check,
I can't imagine.
and you're working. Yeah, it's not easy. It's, you know, when you're looking at the bank account, because I've done that plenty of times where I've looked at my bank account and I can't take. I've gotten my bank account under $20 multiple times. Yeah,
right
well,
on the edge.
when you know I.
I've
Yeah,
done it before. I've
yeah,
done it before.
it's one of those things where it's not good, and you know it means a lot of shopping at the dollar store or something like that every once in a while. But it's hard to consider everybody else when you are
Yeah, but
thinking of that.
Could you imagine if that was every fucking day?
Oh yeah, no, I mean
You know,
it's
I think you know, they're always talking. You know, they're always talking about how the life expectancy has always been climbing. It's always been going up.
yeah
Until recently, where it's actually taken a little bit of a dip.
bit of a dip, yeah,
And here in the United States, one of the most well-developed, but
most unhealthy.
and also probably not the most happiest community
probably
too.
not.
And you're just like, if you know, you and I sort of live a minimalist lifestyle where it sort of works around, you know, we're not rich, you know, we're not destitute, but we keep it in our lane.
Oh yeah, I
It's
can fit everything on a 32-foot boat that I own.
It's an engineered lifestyle, you know, just like you're doing with your boat. I'm just doing it on land, but it is engineered. It has been engineered for the last 30 years of my life. I've engineered it.
Yeah, less is more.
Less is more. Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Less
but
headache.
I've also been prepared for that, and I've planned for it, and I've done everything I can in order to keep that car in that lane, that boat in that canal, right?
And not fall victim to the constant flow of like, you know what you need.
Oh yeah. I don't give a. Just as long as I can dial 911.
Well, but it's hard.
Honestly,
Honestly, it's hard. One of the traps that I fell into before I left on this last trip for like the most of 2020 was just letting myself become inundated by all of just the constant screen stuff. And I mean, you can't go more than just a few minutes looking at any videos or any sort of social media without being sold something. advertise something constantly.
Yeah,
being
but you
told,
also know it's coming.
like, you need, oh man, the most healthy thing in the world. You need this.
Oh,
You need
dude,
that.
I can't wait to get my bidet.
I want kamchatka.
Yeah, I want a clean asshole. I just,
Yeah.
at least that's what YouTube's telling me.
Fighting through that stuff is pretty tricky, man. I've cut myself completely off at this point, but I don't know how long that's gonna last.
So here's something in relation. Okay, so I love a gritty movie, right? Some like film noir,
The Lighthouse.
Great film.
Yeah. Great film.
Oh, what's another one? Blue Ruin. That's a great one. I could go on. Shallow Grave. It's a good one. And so Ina, she's a little bit of lightweight for the darker films.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, she's a little screecher. And so we were watching. I can't. Oh my God, what movie were we watching the other night? And she's screaming through half the film because there's like something gory constantly. And she goes, Sven, I can't. And I go, babe, I didn't make the movie. I'm like, this is entertaining as hell, But that's to what you said. I'm like, Ina, this is fake.
Yeah.
We're not watching a snuff film.
Right.
It's
not real.
It's not real.
It's for entertainment purposes.
It's entertainment purposes only. And so when you do talk, quite negatively about the screen stuff, which I totally understand.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm one of those. I just see right through that fucking shit.
All right, Sven. Well, listen, we've come to the end of the road here, but that was great. It's just great to just sit and talk and just let the whole thing fly. I really appreciate it, man.
It gives a good vibe. It also gives character to your podcast.
Well, yeah, that's one of those things where I'm never sure. I don't want to get into lots of crazy opinion stuff and all that, but at the same time, I do know that as the podcast grows, people are going to want to get to know me more and more. And they will, because obviously my opinions will sort of come out there and everything. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's kind of cool just to shoot the shit and let it fly and hit some weird topics. And I mean, we just flowed all over from podcasts, and I think we got to we got all over the place. But it was really good, man.
I think so too. And I'm always willing to. Like I said, I always spit game at anything.
Dude, I love it. I think these podcasts are pretty interesting because they are, you're a very entertaining person to listen to. You definitely have a lot of insane opinions, and you always have.
And for your audience sake, yes, I have probably massacred a lot of that information.
Yeah, we're not experts.
Listen. It's not in the bullseye, but at least it hit the target.
All right, that's the best way to end it right there. Sven, thank you very much.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.